Right, we're now joined by Jubilee Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
After most of what happened in the last year in the election, many thought we won't be seeing you much, as was then, but we are back there, and mostly because of what is happening in Jubilee. And today you've denied it, saying there's no problem in Jubilee. First things first, you've actually said there's no meeting that was scheduled to iron out any differences or so tomorrow. No parliamentary group meeting was set for that. The question is, okay, I don't understand then how that information was gotten in the first place. I mean, I have to be honest, I didn't get that information myself. But we have MPs who have said and have been telling us, including last night, that that meeting was on. So what really happened here?
Well, I was very curious. I wish you could tell me. Because there is a process of having the convening of a PG meeting. It has to be convened by the chairman in consultation with the NEC, or the president himself can convene such a meeting. And we are normally doing that, using that process. In this particular case, I heard about it in the media, and of course I did check with the State House in case the president or his spokesman had issued such a notice of a meeting, and it was not there. And then of course I checked with Honorable Duale from Parliament if he had that information, and he didn't have it. So that's why I had to make the announcement this afternoon that this one the media made up.
Okay, but I mean, even if let me go with what you're saying. If the media made this up, it seems to have been made up since last week on I think Saturday. Since Saturday, you've only responded today.
No, actually, I was...
You've only clarified that today.
Yeah, I clarified it today because I was out of town. I was actually in Rarieda, home to see my mom who was unwell. And so when I heard about this, I did make inquiry, but it was a weekend. So today, definitively, I did make the inquiry after hearing this from some media people who wanted to interview me about tomorrow. Then, it was clear that this was a figment of some people's imagination. Okay,
is there a need to have such a meeting? Because guys have been talking about the need to have such a meeting, from what we heard, to try and mend the rifts within the party. Is there a need for such a meeting? And you've actually said today that there are no rifts in the Jubilee Party. Do you really believe that? With what has been, and the remarks you've been seeing publicly, being made publicly over the last few days? Do you believe that?
No, one of the things that I'm very proud of as far as Jubilee is concerned is that people are free to air their views. I would be a very worried person if we reached a situation in which when members of the party, members of parliament could not air divergent views. So that's something which is part of our democracy. I may not agree with some of the things that they may have said, but I definitely would defend their right to say the things they're saying within the context of the party. As far as I'm concerned, this is a storm in a teacup. We have more than 220 members of parliament. There's a big family, and it would be very, very strange if we all saw everything the same way.
But yes, okay, I'll stop at the teacup, that's what you're saying. And actually in your press statement today, you actually talked about there's nothing even remotely close to a crisis in the party. And then let's take a look at the people who have been making these remarks. And this was from your Senate Majority Leader, Kipchumba Murkomen, who was here a week ago. This is what he was saying.
From 2013 up to 2017 was doing what he's doing now.
Okay.
But because of succession politics, those people are assembling there and saying we want to stop him from moving, are now introducing those subjects.
So, I mean, this is
unfortunately, because those people have a responsibility on policy direction of the government as we move forward, we have situations where things like those policy positions of lifestyle audit are announced without the knowledge of anybody who is governing in Jubilee. People who work around the president are trusted to provide leadership on various issues that must be dealt with by government. The reason is because president cannot work as an isolated individual. There must be people who advise you, there must be people who do some work for you. Now, if you find those people, if you find that 5 years ago, we worked in harmony, the deputy president was involved in the issues that were being done, there was no fight on the deputy president. We had a small group of people who used to fight the deputy president. Remember when we even talked about ICC, and one person went public to say there was a wing within the office of the president who were trying to push for the ICC agenda that the president remains. But let me just say that because if you have those people being the ones who are influencing direction of where the government is, with only a single agenda, that we must achieve separation of the president and deputy. No wonder some of the things that people are debating in public are actually as symptoms of that policy direction that a few people are trying to craft.
This is what you call a storm in the teacup?
Well,
I mean, he talked of cartels in the office of the president, people in the office of the president who are out there to frustrate Deputy President William Ruto. Talked of lifestyle audit as being nonsensical, and said they were not even consulted about it, saying he doesn't believe there's a legal framework to effect it. And then he also went on to say there are less meetings in the party, and there's a major difference in how the principles and actually party structures work now, if we are to compare it with the last 5 years, and saying the party does not hold meetings and give directions as it used to do. Another MP, Ngujiri Wambugu, was here yesterday, said both Murkomen and Duale should resign from their positions. This is the majority leader in the Senate. You're calling this a storm in the teacup?
It is, because if it was not, then of course we would have come into it much earlier. In fact, the only reason why I'm here is to be able to assure you that we have nothing to worry about. We are not hiding. You've never called me to ask me exactly what is happening in the party. When you asked me today, I turned up. But of course, when you invite individual members of the party to air their opinions, they are free to air their opinions the way they do air those opinions. The official position is the one I'm giving you now. We don't see any crisis because in the first place, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've been working very, very hard with the team from my secretariat. And our main focus right now is the launch of our Party Academy, which is something which we consider is very, very important, to teach Kenyans to be Kenyans, so that we don't have all these groupings of the Nyanza group, the Rift Valley group, the Central group, the Coastal group. We want Group Kenya. Okay. That's number one. Number two, which I would like to be able to just quickly, explain to you, is that the president is razor focused on the issue of employment creation in this country. We have a youth population bulge like no other pause in the whole world. Because there was a time in this country when we had the highest rate of population increase in the whole world. That is a ticking time bomb. We have to give opportunity to our young people. We have to focus on manufacturing because the level of our population at the moment is such that it cannot be gainfully employed and they will not have hope. In fact, some of the young people may die before ever having a job unless we do something very drastic. That is the challenge of the moment. About succession politics, I think it is out of place. The Deputy President himself has articulated it several times. Let's stop this nonsense about 2022 and concentrate on what is important.
So my question again, this is the Senate Majority Leader. By deem of, he has a high position in the Jubilee Party, definitely. So are you saying what he said is nothing to you from where you sit as a Jubilee Party Secretary General, and you're saying it's nothing, a storm in the teacup, and there's nothing that needs to be addressed?
Well, within the context of the party, we may be able to address it if it comes up as an important matter. But as far as I'm concerned, is it an important matter to you? It's not. I would consider it under matters arising. The President himself had offered to host a retreat. And the retreat, we want to address issues like national cohesion, this whole matter of building bridges. We've just come from a very polarizing political campaign and elections. We won the elections, but the part of the country who voted for our opponents were over 6 million. Okay, so again, and we want to mainstream them. They are Kenyans. All right. We're not only in the business of shaking hands with them. We actually must embrace everyone as brothers and sisters. The President has articulated that. The Deputy President has articulated that. I don't see any contradiction. So the other members who say this building bridges initiative should now be stopped because it's at the expense of the party, that's what they're saying. Again, you're saying that is nothing to you. It doesn't matter. You're not even going to address that. Especially after consultations with the President and the Deputy President, and after looking at what are strategically most important for the party. The most important thing for the party at the moment is that we have to deliver. We do have serious problems in this country. I mean, there are certain areas of the country where life expectancy is 47.
Okay.
People are dying and leaving their kids and living very unstable families because of malaria. How can that happen during this day and age?
That is what you hope to address.
Yes.
All these other issues you're not addressing.
A lot of these issues are sideshows as far as we're concerned, because there will be a time when it will be necessary to play politics of succession. This president has just been elected. Even 1 year is not yet over. We cannot possibly be discussing the kind of things that are being discussed by some of the members of parliament. I don't blame them. I hope that when we have this retreat, we may be able to clarify, persuade them to see our point of view. We are not in the business of being arrogant and dismissing them. We are not in the position.
You don't think you're doing that?
No,
I don't. You're saying it's a storm in the teacup, and you're not going to address those issues.
It is not. It is not the most important issues that we should be addressing. The most important issues we should be addressing is jobs for our people, housing for our people. To be able to explain that even housing is not just a matter of dignity for our people, it is also the forward and backward linkages that create jobs for carpenters, for masons, for a lot of young people who work as laborers. We must engage our people. That is what we must focus on. If we are focusing on other things, maybe you want to do that as Hussein, because since you're not getting a lot of news from NASA, you want to koroga kidogo, but
I mean,
it's a little bit of a dry period for the media business.
That's your opinion. But these are people, of course, who know what they say when they want to say it. Nobody forces them to say what they want to say. They have said what they have to say, and you're saying it is nothing.
It's okay. People can say what they want to say. I think it is important. In fact, I'll be very worried if people felt that they cannot utter even a difference of opinion. But what we hope we should be able to achieve in the retreat is to persuade them to take our direction.